Thank you. My agenda is just to very short to describe what is the current state of the impact measurement in Finland, and then I give you two real applications from the impact investing. So put my speech to some context. The Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra arranges 2-3 years projects where it tries to make some structural change in Finnish society. And at the start of the project, it is extremely active player in the field, and as time passes by, it steps down step by step, and so that whatever the field is, after 2 to 3 years, if this whatever it is somehow good for Finland, then it stays alive and evolves and develops without Sitra. So we make 2-3 years projects, and I'm working on a project called impact investing. So the project name is impact investing focus area, and I'm working on a team whose job is to create impact investing ecosystem in Finland. We have worked 18 months, and we have about 6 months to go, and after that Sitra leaves the field and is not active player anymore. We stay as a passive player, passive investor in the field, but we won't facilitate it anymore. Currently, we facilitate very actively it, but we are step by step moving down currently. So after 6 months, this should be, we should have impact investing ecosystem that doesn't need Sitra anymore. But what comes to impact measurement in Finland, the mainstream is that we don't do it in social impact. We have a lot of desire to make it, but the problem are probably the same as in other countries, that we don't know what are the right indicators, we don't know how to monetize them, or we don't know what is our contribution and what would happen anyway. So the usual problems. But the desire is, it's a hot topic at the moment in Finland. We have in Finland extremely good databases. Problem is that we have not so good data privacy laws, which actually prevents us to use the data. We have extremely good data, but we cannot use it. And also, we have extremely good know-how in academic side, very good researchers, but because of some reason which I don't know, the practice and the researchers doesn't meet. So there's a mismatch between the know-how and the demand. But I think the future looks brighter. One research project is just coming soon. It's not public yet, so I won't go details, but there's 5 to 10 real projects where we try to calculate the social impact. It's very heterogeneous portfolio of different projects, and also those who calculate the social impact will be different instances. And then we also have several smaller research projects where we try to find some specific social impact of some specific intervention. And many of interventions are looking for finance so that they could prove their social impact. So it's an extremely hot topic at the moment in Finland. And our Sitran Sitra's impact investing area, how we contribute this is that we try, or at least we don't try, we train public sector to buy results or impact instead of activities or outputs. At the same time, we train investors to finance impact. And at the same time, we have an accelerator where the service providers, we train the service providers to model the impact so that they can sell impact to either public sector or to investors. And that's the general situation in Finland, and then the couple of examples. I don't know if you know what is the social impact bond, but this is the Finnish way of doing it. So we have typically a municipality who has some kind of problem, social problem, which can be seen so that the costs are increasing. And then we have service providers who can solve this problem, but they cannot actually make it on their own assets, so they need some money to give their services to municipality in a large scale. So we need some money, and we collect those for the markets. And then when we have investor money, they pay all the service providers costs so that they can deliver their services to those who are in social or those who have social problems. And if those service providers can actually deliver impact so that those who have social problems, their well-being somehow increases, then this municipality pays for the impact some predefined amount of money to the investors so that they can get their money back and some return to their investment. If these service providers fail to deliver impact, so these people with social problem stays in problem, then the municipality doesn't pay anything and investors lose their money. This is the Finnish way of doing this social impact bond. And we have in this social impact bond, it's a pay for success contract in practice, and impact measurement is extremely crucial because we pay only for results. We have typically 4 kind of indicator classes in social impact bonds, but the impact bond is not important. It is the pay for success contract because it can be done without the investor money.
You're actually talking about the social bonds.
Yes, we have. These are social impact bonds, but they could be implemented without investors' money if the service provider has a lot of money in his pocket.
Okay, I know the model, but how far did you get? I don't understand. How far did you get with the social bonds in the project?
It's the next slide.
Okay.
So we have in this social impact bonds, we have 4 kind of indicators. Key performance indicators are those who define how and who pays what is the impact, and how municipality should pay for that impact for the investors. Then we have these service providers who has to deliver the impact, make the change, and they need they have to follow their own impact by which indicator, which I call result planning indicators. Right. And then we have process indicators, which which are also indicators to service providers, so that they have to follow the quality of their services when they try to deliver this impact. And then we have other indicators which are not in the previous classes. They are typically key performance indicators, but they are such indicators that we cannot monetize those yet. And this is the first social impact bond in Finland. We have a fund. There's a fund manager, Epicus. And it has collected money from investors. This is actually quite small. It's at the moment 2 to 3 million euros. It's quite small, actually too small. And it has also select the service providers. This is actually startup. This is listed in Helsinki Stock Exchange, and those two are medium-sized companies. And this coalition, they have to decrease the municipalities' sick leaves. So this is something doing with the occupational well-being. And if they can reduce the sick leave days in these client organizations every day compared to starting point, they have to pay 175 euros back to fund. If these cannot reduce any sick leaves, then the investors lose their money. And if they can reduce, actually we know the first results and they are extremely positive. So the public organizations have paid 175 euros per reduced pay to the fund. And
how long time did you run this experiment for?
This is a 3 years fund.
Okay.
3 years contract. But in other SIP cases, it is always SIP case. The longest are 12 years. But they are from the different field.
When was it initiated?
Sorry?
When was this one initiated?
Last September was the first.
So it's in the start?
Yes, it's running. We have the first results after 1 year. Yes, extremely good results. And this is the same fund where the primary object is increased well-being of public sector workplaces, because of in Finland we have extremely bad economic dependency ratio, and we have too much, actually very high disability pension, number of disability pensioners. But actually our original measure was these, which are here in other length of careers, new disability pensions, but it was too difficult measure to understand for investor and for the decision makers in municipalities. So that's why we changed the key performance indicator as a sick leave ratio, which has correlation with the disability pensions. It's not the best possible, but in practice, that was just how we have to do it. And then also during the operations, these service providers make personal surveys. They use sensors and other kind of things to follow their impact during this 3 years contract, so that they can prove to investors that yes, we can actually achieve the goals, which I think the break-even ratio was, we have to 2.1 sick leave days decrease, so that the investor get their money back. And then we have these process indicators. I am not expert in this occupational well-being, but somehow these service providers have to all the time also follow the quality of their processes, and how their processes are working, so that we can be sure that we can achieve the impact goals.
Can I have a question? As I understand it, the cost for lowering every day procedures is about
It's estimated 300. Yes. Yes.
euros. But all those profit of it, does all the money go to the investor?
No.
Profit goes to the people who make the job, who take care of the practice.
Sorry, I cannot hear the last question.
Is it difficult for me to explain? But the problem is the investor has all the money paid, 175 euro.
It was
Does anything of the profit from the cost of the solar problem, does anything of the profit from that go to AIM or Petri or Trainer's House? Or does all of it go to the investor?
no. The incentives are extremely important when designing SIP. So if 175 euros goes to fund, first you have to pay investors basic investment plus the return. And if then we have surplus, then we pay success fee for this.
Okay.
Because we have to have really incentive structure for everybody.
The investor only have an interest of some kind percentage. The investor only have an interest of the investment.
Yes, the profit here, profit for investors is 10%.
Okay.
After it's paid, these get success fee.
Okay.
Because otherwise they don't have incentive to make impact. If they don't have. And then the refugees social impact bond, which is the second one. This is just, we just chose the fund manager. But the Ministry of Employee, I'm not sure if it's the right name, but some ministry is paying half of the tax revenues and cost savings back to fund. So the key performance indicator is that we can get these refugees as soon as possible to work. And if this SIP fund can get this as fast as possible to work, then they get 50% of paid income taxes and tax revenue, cost savings in unemployment or costs. But I don't know what are the rest of the indicators because we haven't chosen, well, I don't know who are going to be the service providers here. So everything, how we measure this, depends always what are the service providers. But the current problem in Finland is that when we talk about the asylum seekers from the war area, Syria, and their unemployment rate is extremely high compared to native Finnish. And that's what we are going to change with this social impact bond, and that's why we created this. And the current is extremely slow, inefficient, and we don't know what happens there, and the results are extremely poor, and we don't measure the actual what's happening there. But this everything changes now when we put it, make this social impact bond. Again, it's almost 3 years contract. We don't know how much refugees we can get because we don't know how many will come to Finland. And in this case, we also make a control group randomized, and where we can compare this SIP group and the control group, and the difference between this is the impact, and this defines how much government has to pay to fund. And we can get all the data from the government.
Are there any quality measurements as to what kind of jobs they are put into? Or any job?
Probably it will be somewhere in here, the quality of life and some basic needs of human being, like family, safety. And if you are put in the really wrong job, then you can see it here. But potentially it's not in here. We will follow probably it, but it's not.
Secondary. It's a secondary measurement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just too difficult to make measure in this short time.
How do you find and identify the service providers, and is there any?
It is the fund manager who has to find it, because it's responsible. We have Sitra, we have made some steering around the market so that we know what's going there, but the final decision is made by fund manager.
One more. Are there any innovation aspects?
Yes.
This, or are
Yes.
you choosing?
Yes, this fund manager can fire this, and this if they don't deliver impact. Or it can select new players. If it sees that there is one company who makes better job than this, then it can change it.
So what you're saying is that the innovation incentive dies in succeeding, living up to the...
Yes, because we are delivering impact and results, not the hours and something else, like in Finland right now. Right now they are buying hours, but they don't follow what happens, what the refugees learn. We don't currently we don't measure in any way, nothing. But now that changed. Time. No more. Yes. Okay. These are actually just the estimated cash for the SIP fund made right now. This is the base, the control group, which is goes the traditional way, and it costs quite a lot to government. This is what we expect to the SIP fund to achieve, and this is the success fee. So the government has to pay this amount, and these are the. But after 3 years, it seems to be a positive. The total cost savings for the government is about 30 million euros in this case, expected. After 5 years, we know what actually happened. But currently, we expect 30 million euros to be saved by this social impact fund.
And what is the incentive to the investors? Is that a revenue or interest that is comparable to regular?
Yes, we pay market return, but they have also some kind of other, I don't know what is the right term, but they are not looking just a return. They want to make some impact. It is because these are, well, this is estimated to be 50 million euros fund, but typically they are 2-3 million funds. They are too small to be really. So there has to be something else than just the return. There has to be something, some goodwill.
And are they pension funds? Are they who are they?
Private investors and institutional investors.
Okay.
We have both.
And is it clear what return they get? Is it like 9%, 15%, or?
In occupational well-being, it was 10%.
10%. 10%.
Yes. In this case, I don't know yet. I can't tell you it next September what's the expected. I think it's around 10%.
With a success rate of 50%.
But government, how much it saves? Extremely lot.
Okay. This is impressive. I think this is really impressive.
And we have about 10 other ships under progress. I just forget the slide. Put slide, but I will send you a new set of slides where are our ships under progress. But I think my time is gone. What you can ask if you...
Could you mention an example of a delivered impact?
Sorry?
Could you mention an example of a delivered impact that you were mentioning right now? For example, that the success of these actors depends on the impact that in the long-term result they can assume.
Yes, it depends how do you define impact.
Yeah.
It's, I think we are talking about outcomes in here, which in the long term turn into impact. But in here we try to just to integrate people who are expected to not to work and go into trouble in the long run, to get a job, get their family back to Finland, and whatever the human being needs. I think that's in the long-term impact.
So it's not to get the job.
No, but it is the easiest one to understand by the government and by the investor. But we know that it is not it is the subjective well-being is the most important thing. But usually it is very correlated to that you have a job. If you don't have a job, you are in trouble in Finland. Yes.
For the ship that is actually already running, how much time did it take to prepare it from the first initial idea until the agreement was made?
The interventions will start next September. So this is not, we have selected the fund manager, but it's not actually running now because just last week we chose the fund manager.
But for the other ship that you presented before, the one that was started in September, how much time went before that of setting it up?
It was, I think, 18 months, extremely slowly. This took 2 months. This is extremely easy. I have extremely difficult ships also under where I have worked 12 months. But I think we are at the beginning of learning curve, so that's why Sitra is an active actor here, because the transaction costs of this kind of are extremely high at the moment, too high.
This may be a difficult question, but do you think it's possible to test social impact bonds on a smaller scale somehow?
I like always big scale.
Sorry?
I like big scale. Yes, because it's much easier to prove your impact.
Yes.
Yes, that's the main problem, that most firms in Finland want to make small tests, and we want to make it large scale. If it's good, why not to make it in whole Finland? Yes, and although the transaction costs are too high if it's too small.
Did you face any limitations, regulatory limitations?
Data privacy is the most difficult thing.
Sorry?
Data privacy. So we have a lot of good pension. Sorry, I'm in my other life I'm working with pension funds. Service providers. They haven't usually make any impact measurement so far. So we need some kind of track record here about their ability to make impact. So typically we try to find something from the historical records. But we have this data privacy in Finland, and we have those data to look if this really works, but we cannot access it. So the data privacy is the most.
Not when it comes to budget regulations or anything. There are no limitations as to this.
Not so far. Not so far.
Can you say something very briefly about the future? If you have some thoughts or social impact bonds in the pipeline, which would further the perspective on the impact that the city would probably work with?
Well, we are working currently on 3 kind of thematic fund. One is to promote the well-being of young children and young people. One is to prevent long-term and structural unemployment, and the third one is to promote well-being of elder people. So I'm working with these 3 kind of social thematic, and there are a lot of SIPs coming during the next 6 months, because I have 6 months to go. But they are under construction. But there we need the main point that we need extremely good measurement from beginning to end, so that we can actually remove the social problems. And in this case, the measurement is crucial from start to end. And actually after that we have to also know what happens when the SIP ends. Is it what happens to those people when we end the intervention? So actually we should follow the people until they die.
But would it be a problem just to simply continue, like if the investor wants to?
It's just not possible at the moment. Too expensive and too difficult. We have data privacy and things like that.
Is there any more questions? I think then we would say thank